Hey guys, Gary here. I hope that everybody's having a really great week and having a great Friday, and that you will have a great weekend. So I'm a little bit backed up on my comic folder, and today I just went out and cleared about 3 weeks of issues. Got a couple of magazines, and so I'm going to try to go through all of these quickly and make this as fairly short as possible, and have a word to say about the relaunch of numerous Marvel titles. Okay, and so how many of you are familiar with the great venerable magazine, Famous Monsters of Filmland? Wonderful magazine on horror, done by Forrest Ackerman, of course, Forey Ackerman, that came out in the 60s and the 70s, really classic magazine. It's been relaunched in the past, I think about a year and a half or so. Picked up a couple of those recently. I don't think I've shown these before. These are some of the more recent issues. If I have, forgive me. But I think I showed them in a video that did not work out. There's like a fly in here. And so forgive me, if I have shown these again. This is Famous Monsters of Filmland, number 231. And it's all about the Dark Shadows movie, the Tim Burton Johnny Depp Dark Shadows movie that came out this spring, of course. Movie version of the Venerable television show, and I did see this movie, and all I can say is way down, way down. And if you disagree with me vehemently, please say so and why. Okay, there's that. Also, Famous Monsters of Filmland, another recent issue. I think this one is slightly more recent, 260. And it was all about John Carter of Mars. And of course, it had other stories in it as well, but this was John Carter of Mars and the work of course, the great Tarzan writer, Edgar Rice Burroughs, was featured throughout it. And I guess they really thought that this movie was going to be a lot better than how it turned out. I think it was like a very expensive bomb for Disney. For my great nephews, I've talked about, we've got to indoctrinate these little boys and girls into comic books, and so I got them the latest issue of Garfield. That's number 3. These are actually, some of these are kind of like little kiddie books, but might seem like they're actually like pretty good. Not bad. Latest BPRD that I got. This is a one of 2 issues, a two-parter. It's called Exorcism. I have not read. I think I got this one. Well, this is what I picked up today, but I actually think this issue is from a couple of weeks ago. So BPRD, Hell on Earth, Exorcism, Mike Minola, thumbs up, way up. Saw several of you have gotten Masters of the Universe. My God, did we not all love that television show back in the day? What was it, in the 80s, I think? 70s, 80s? And so it looks good. I mean, I did take a peek on the inside of it, and it looks good and all. So happy to see that. And also bought an extra issue for my nephews. Got this most recent Thor. This run of Thor is actually the current Thors. I think are pretty good. I like the artwork, and I like the writing. The Thor enthusiast in our house, the big fan, is not terribly fond of these, but I actually think they're pretty good myself. I have no qualms with them. I think they're excellent. Um, I've been trying to give up Aquaman for some time now, and it seems to always end up in my folder regardless. I've sent emails, I've made phone calls, I've told my comic book store, who's the greatest comic book store proprietor in the world, Bill, love you, man, love you. And but I love Jeff Johns as well. My God, he's one of the best comic book writers in the industry today. I just, something about this Aquaman doesn't do it for me. And I told them today I really want to drop this, and everybody, all the guys in the store were like, "No, man, you don't want to do that. Don't drop Aquaman. Wonderful things are about to happen." And I'm like, "Well, they need to happen. They need to happen fast." Also, got the Spawn. Never really been a Spawn fan, but I like how they're kind of taking off on Spider-Man. They're obviously. I love the artwork. I love those colors that Todd McFarlane work. Just wonderful. Want to give this a shot and see how it goes. I finally, belatedly got on the Frankenstein Alive bandwagon. Why it took me so long, I don't know. You guys kept telling me. My God, Bernie Wrightson, I grew up reading this man. He's one of the most awesome comic book people in the world, is he not? He's one of the most wonderful artists, period. In any genre, I guess you would say, any field. I think he's just a superb artist. I did take a look at this. Looks excellent. I have his Frankenstein book that he did back in the 80s. This is not the same thing, by the way, and so I'm definitely going to be following that. I also picked up the latest Justice League, which this is written by Jeff Johns as well, isn't it? Yes, it is. Artwork. When you have a book uh, written by Jeff Johns and the artwork done by Jim Lee, I mean, that's pretty damn good, isn't it? And they seem to be living up to the promise. So, really loving Justice League nowadays. Got the most recent Defenders which is the only title right now, regular title that has Doctor Strange in it. This is actually pretty good. The artwork is good. The writing is pretty good. Not great, certainly not terrible. I wish like the Defenders were some of the better known characters, but it's good. It's definitely worth checking out. So, and this is done by Fraction, McKelvey, Amara, if that's how you say it. I don't know if you can see that cover or not, but pretty good dynamic cover. That's been a pretty good run as well. I don't read the Star Wars comic books, but I do get them from my younger brother. This is issue number 2 of Star Wars Knight Errant Escape. Pretty good cover. Not bad. Got lots of glare today. Okay. I am absolutely one of my favorite people in the entire universe is the director Guillermo del Toro. I've talked about him before. Pan's Labyrinth is just one of the great movies. I'm real psyched about his Pacific Rim movie coming up next year. I wish to God that he had been able to fulfill directing The Hobbit, but it will be his script, and I think that some of his design is on it. So, and anyway, these are his ongoing adaptations of his 3 vampire books, The Strain. And this is issue number 6, and all 3 books are supposed to be covered. And this is the wonderful David Lapham is doing this with Mike Huddleston and Dan Jackson. Those are all superb people. Very good adaptation. This could have been a wonderful original comic. It's a very good, superb adaptation. I would highly recommend that you get The Strain. You can get 6 issues now. If you're not on that bandwagon, why not? Why aren't you, Guillermo del Toro? And also picked up, I saw these today, and this is Beta Ray Bill missing issue 1. Actually, I think I might have issue 1. This is going to drive me crazy. Okay, we'll do one at a time. This is issue 2 of 3. I do not have number 1. Beta Ray Bill, God Hunter, the only character who can lift Thor's hammer. And issue number 3, God Hunter. I'm not quite sure what's going on there in that cover. It looks excellent. And actually, I have to confess, I will read these, but then I'm going to send them to my buddy, Curse of Man. Curse of Man, I think you've got number 1 of these, if I'm not mistaken. So I did notice that they had these in the store, and I picked them up. And so I'll be sending these to you probably one day next week or so. Beta Ray Bill, numbers 2 and 3. So be looking for that. And the last one also for my nephews, and I buy comics for my great nephews. One of them is 6, the other one is 4, and because nobody was buying these boys' comic books. when a 5-year-old does not know who Spider-Man is, there is something really, really wrong with that picture. Would you not agree with me? And so, it was up to Uncle Gare to indoctrinate them into comic books, and my God, suddenly I became the cool uncle. They just adore me, but I get them, these and other books, and they really like them a lot. So I actually went through that fairly fast, not quite fast as I wanted, but I did speak to my comic book owner, Bill, about I think there's 7 or 8 issues of Marvel titles that they are going to cancel and relaunch. And I'm like, why? Why are we doing that? And I asked, are they not selling good, or what's going on with this? And he said, no, they sell very well, in fact. And I'm kind of like, okay, then what's with, why do they need to be relaunched? And basically, it's just about, you know, number one issues sell more copies. And uh, I don't know about you guys, but that just seems so gimmicky to me. And of course, that's old. That's been done many, many times in the comic book industry. Marvel does it, DC does it all the time. And I'm frankly just kind of tired of it. If the books are doing well, but you want them to do even better. Everybody rushes out to buy number one. I imagine there's so many number ones of things right now that their value has probably plummeted. I think number ones are going to, I guess they'll never be meaningless, or worthless, but it does seem like they do get watered down after a while. And I would really like, if anybody ever at the, Marvel or DC or the other uh, comic book companies ever have a chance to see this, fat chance, I'm sure. But, instead of like resorting to gimmicks all the time and, relaunches and all this and everything, how about making the books better? Uh, you know, I think for the most part, artworks and comics nowadays is pretty superb. I mean, some of them are really marvelous, and sometimes, not so good. I was going to add GI Combat to my folder to get for my stepdad, who's all about Western comics and war comics and things like that. And it had a nice cover on it. I think it was GI Combat number 3, if I'm not mistaken, is the current one that's out. And I opened this up to look at it, and it just looked like real crap. The artwork was just terrible. The writing, what writing? It was just awful. So, my challenge to Marvel and to DC and the other comic book companies is, how about making the books better? How about better writing? How about perhaps making the pot a little sweeter for your writers, perhaps pay them a little bit more, give just a little bitty, you know mill a percentage of the profits or something, and encourage competition, encourage good people to come on board and stay aboard and consistently do good work. Anyway, that's my rant. I don't normally rant, so maybe I'm entitled. I think I've done about 10, 12 videos now, thereabouts, so I'm entitled to at least one rant, don't you think? So anyway, that's just my thoughts. Instead of gimmicks all the time, how about just making the books really good? That really shouldn't be a novel idea in today's world, but I guess it is. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. All of you guys are great. I love all of your videos. It's so much fun to see your comics current and old, and I love watching them. And just a shout out to all of you. I hope all of you are doing really well and have a really great weekend. And I'll be speaking with you soon. Take care.